What is going on, everybody? This is another episode of Coordinated Chaos. In this week's episode, we will be recapping what happened in Super Bowl 59. It's a little bit late, I will say. I didn't have the flu. I thought I had the flu, tested negative for that, but was like sick as a dog, basically starting from Friday of the Super Bowl all the way through the entire week. It was a crazy sickness, but whatever. But we are back, finally. We're going to recap what happened in the Super Bowl. We're going to go over some head coaching news. Only one move happened since we've been gone, and then we're going to also talk a little bit about the Aaron Rodgers and Jets parting of ways as well. So let's jump right into Super Bowl 59 recap. I did do a small video, obviously, before this, kind of just giving my knee-jerk reaction thoughts. That was Monday night, so I did get a little bit of stuff off my chest there, but we have obviously a little bit more time here, and we can kind of go back and forth here. So we're going to discuss, obviously, our thoughts on the Super Bowl. And do you want to start with your initial thoughts on what you saw there?
Sure. One, I was impressed. The Eagles were by far the better team. Two, I was impressed with Jalen Hurts because they did stop the run, and he, not won the game, but did what he did to win the game. Three, Jake Elliott, pretty impressive, especially for someone who had not been great all year.
I was not confident in his abilities going into that game.
Yeah. Four, halftime show was terrible. I was
you're one of those, huh?
I won't say terrible, but it was just.
I mean, I will say, there's it can't relate to everybody.
No, it can't.
Rap specifically, it just does not hit.
But I feel like when it was Eminem, Dr. Dre, more people like that one.
Yeah, I guess because maybe there was just a little bit more nostalgia going on with that. There's a little bit, an older crowd was kind of implemented a little bit within that, but at least you call it the 40 and under crew with at least that one. Yeah. But Kendrick, you're catching strictly 30 and under crew.
Well, and it felt kind of petty, the whole Drake thing, petty. I was like, that just seems silly. But no, I was impressed with the Eagles, and I think they are right now the best team, which I guess they showed. Yeah. But just player wise,
Yeah, roster for roster, we kind of discussed it, honestly, weeks on end, before this. Was just it was just a matter of, are they going to put it together in the biggest stages going through the playoffs? And obviously they did that. Jalen Hurts had his best games of his, basically, career in the NFC Championship game and the Super Bowl, and 2 Super Bowls now. He's shown up in the biggest moments, and he now holds the record for completion percentage in Super Bowls in general, combined, obviously, between 2022 and 2024 now. So whenever it's the lights are the brightest is whenever he shows up most, which is the one thing you want out of your quarterback is just clutch gene. And I don't know, there's not a whole lot to really be able to quantify something like that. But we've just seen throughout years, the clutcher guys in the NFL and just throughout history, Tom Brady, obviously, Patrick Mahomes, those guys show up whenever it's game time. And obviously there's levels of talent between all these different players within the NFL spectrum. But there is that underlying factor of will this dude not fold when the lights are the brightest? And Jalen Hurts did not disappoint in that regard.
I wasn't a huge fan of how it was officiated. As a game, the call on A.J. Brown I thought was terrible.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty ticky-tack.
Call on, was it Goddard or Saquon?
Yeah, it was Goddard that went up high for a ball, and then McDuffie kind of hit him in the head on the way down.
I wasn't a fan of that.
I really thought that was just a makeup call, straight up, absolutely. Because it happened on back-to-back possessions, and I was just because so I don't know who I was talking to, but I was essentially I'll take a makeup call. That's fine. No big deal. I'll take one of those right now, and because I did not also like the A.J. Brown one. There was some hand fighting there. And, I guess A.J. did kind of, graze his face. But, I don't know. It was just a little too little of contact for me.
It's just, especially that early, it seems like one that you, would let it go and be yo, just be careful. Next
say
time,
something about it.
I'm going to probably call that.
And it was it was a high-leverage situation. It was 4th and 2, and they did that, famous play that they've, they did in the NFC Championship game on 4th and 5 where – they drop back and they throw a go ball because it's one-on-one, and the defense is saying, look, if you guys complete this, more power to you, but we're going to give you this option here. Let's just see if you have big enough cojones to make it happen. And they did, and then it got called back, of course. But then the route just kind of went on from there. Like, essentially, it was obviously Jalen Hurts made the Chiefs defense pay for what they were trying to do on defense, which was just sell out for Saquon, which they did a very good job of. But what I will give the Eagles offense credit for as well is sticking with the run. They didn't completely abandon it whenever they saw that they were completely selling out. They were like, we're going to keep pounding it. And because we learned over the course of the season that Saquon could still just completely bust one, especially if they just have one missed assignment on defense there. And I think just being able to stay as balanced as they were throughout the game, and then they got the exact looks that they wanted to with Jalen Hurts on offense in the passing game, and they just made them pay every single time, really. Like, it was just the deep ball to Jahan Dotson, obviously Devontae Smith as like the dagger that kind of sealed the game, some back shoulder throws to A.J. Brown that were just huge in different spots. Like, they just made the offense or the Kansas City defense pay for what they were presenting out there.
Yeah, the Chiefs also didn't look very good. Like, I know with Tooney didn't he have to move?
He moved to left tackle.
Like, their O-line was just getting smashed.
Yeah, that was the thing. Is just like the offense did what they needed to do. The defense really showed up in this game. They had one of the all-time defensive performances.
They didn't even bring in 6 guys. Like, it's like something has to change.
They strictly just rushed 4. They didn't blitz one time.
I meant the Chiefs. It's like, bro, block with a tight end. Help him.
Yeah, I don't know like all the ins and outs of how much they ended up bringing in extra guys to block, but it didn't look like it didn't matter.
Mahomes was getting smoked.
And it was the way that they were rushing too. They essentially looked Kansas City dead in the face and said, we don't think you're going to run the ball because we don't think you think your run game is good enough to get past our front 4, front 7 in general and be efficient enough to really actually help your team on offense. Because it was the way the defensive ends were lined up. They were so wide out that they were able to get that super crazy edge and the speed they were able to gain as they got towards the tackles. Then it just collapsed the entire pocket. And then obviously you have Jalen Carter and Milton Williams and Jordan Davis in the middle just mucking it up inside as well. And there was no lanes for Pat Mahomes to really just step up into the pocket, which is what he really loves to do, because then he has the option to run left, run right, dump it over the middle, something like that. And he was having to run outside and just try to extend plays, and he did it that one time, which it was kind of a designed one, and then he tries to throw it across his body, back across the field. Cooper DeJean just comes off his route because it's like a zone coverage, scoops it, and that was that was the beginning of the route. When it became 17-0 there, it was like, okay.
Well, because it was after when Hurts threw his pick, it was like, well, it's 7-0.
Correct.
There's that was kind of a bad turnover. Yeah, it's like we can get some points, and then it's a new game. And to the Eagles' defensive credit, very impressive, but Mahomes was not looking very impressive.
Yeah, Mahomes for sure. I think right from the get-go, and this is something that
comfortable.
No, he was never comfortable, not one time. And I think this is something that you kind of get a better gauge of when you're at the game, physically, is that I think probably if you were there and you saw it, or if you were field level or anything like that, or if you heard the sounds of the game, you probably felt, oh, shoot, Kansas City's O-line's getting whooped up on way more than you would even realize even on the film or on the copy of the TV, because they were just getting out physical completely. It was just they were getting drove back immediately, and so that immediately gave Mahomes happy feet in the pocket. He didn't know if he could step up with confidence or not, and so it kind of just piled onto itself and just kind of snowballed on him.
Where would you rank Jalen Hurts as far as quarterbacks go?
I think you at least have to put him in the top 5. I think top 5.
I would agree with top 5.
I think top 5 is fair. Depends on how you like your order. But
and
in no exact order, but I'm not putting them in. I don't think in the top 3.
No.
I think I like Mahomes, Allen, number 2,
Lamar. Because
Lamar and Burrow are right there. I was
going to say
that. I just don't like. I think Lamar 3, Burrow 4, Hurts 5. Yeah. That's what I think I would have.
I would agree with that. Because some people said top 2 and not 2, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, that's a little bit too knee jerky for me. And I love Hurts, but he just does not have all of the physical talents that some of those other guys do have.
the team he's on, which is no fault of his own.
Yeah,
but like if you put anyone like, not that like Allen or Mahomes would do as good or better or worse, but you're like he has a lot of help. Like that. It's not like he's a Josh Allen where like if he doesn't win the game, they don't win the game.
Correct. Yeah, no, I completely agree. That's why Josh Allen won the MVP. Yeah. That is something we didn't discuss. I forgot about that. We haven't talked about that since.
Rick.
Yeah.
He got a car.
He did. Man, he got shouted out. That was crazy.
Yeah, it was.
But yeah, Josh Allen for sure, obviously, deserve MVP, and that's why you got to put him up there as well with Mahomes. And so, yeah, top 5 I think is very fair at this point in time, considering like he's the only one of them outside of Mahomes that's actually gotten the job done, like in this era. Like,
well, Stafford did.
Well, yeah, but like in this top 5 that we're talking about, because I think Stafford, honestly, for me now is 6.
Probably.
I think Hurts just edged out Stafford based on like age and like stuff of that manner, and he beat him on the way there.
Yeah, he did.
So like, but it was close. That was the one that stressed me the most out. Like that game was crazy.
The Rams are a tough team to beat.
Yeah, the Rams are going to be good. Obviously, there's the Cooper Kupp trade rumors, stuff like that, and we can discuss that a little bit later at some point. But yeah, so I think that's where I put Hurts right this second. But yeah, I'm honestly like having a stress-free Super Bowl was so weird. Yeah. Like, but I will say the entire time people kept texting me like, "Oh my god, this is," and I was just like, "Gotta finish it, because at no point I felt super safe. Like it felt like stress-free, but I didn't feel like good.
You're not celebrating until
the very end.
Zeros.
Like essentially, whenever they did throw that dagger to Devontae Smith, which it looked like they were just going to run the clock.
Yeah.
And even Kevin Burkhardt on the call was like, he was like, looks like they're just going to run behind Saquon here, and then maybe throw the dagger, and then he throws it, and it was just from there it was pandemonium. It was crazy, and it was like, okay, that was probably enough to get it done.
Game, yeah.
So
that's true.
Very impressive both sides of the ball. Like very clean football. Did not turn the ball over once again.
Yeah,
oh yeah, you're right. Yeah. They did turn the ball over.
Come on.
But it was inconsequential. It was kind of like an arm punt at that point, because like if he takes the sack there, especially with the way I was viewing Jake Elliott, I was like, I don't know if he's gonna make this field goal. Fair. And so he was just like, I'm gonna chuck this up, and if he intercepts it, it happens, and they did, of course, and he fell out of bounds. Then they punted and got the ball right back, and so the defense was just balling out to the point where it was crazy. Obviously, Cooper DeJean had a crazy play. Zach Baldwin had an incredible interception as well, and it just, like we were saying, they just kind of kept snowballing for the Chiefs because they could not pass protect.
They could not. I think the Eagles kind of like blueprinted like two things to the rest of the NFL. Of one, if you want to get really good, like it starts with the front.
The
on each side, like you have to win those.
100%.
You just absolutely like you have to. If you have a good O line and good D line, you can fill in the rest. And two, when a player like a baller goes on free agency and you want to win, you have to go get him. Like they got Saquon, and it was like, oh, injury, this, that. And it was like, give him a chance.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like 2 years ago, we were in the Super Bowl with Miles Sanders.
Yeah.
And now he's like the third stringer essentially in Carolina.
Yeah.
So it just showed you it very clearly illuminated to like Howie Roseman, like, we did it with Miles Sanders 2 years ago. What if we were to put the cherry on top of this bad boy?
It's like you're missing like one stud that opens up everything else.
He literally unlocked the offense for us. Like it was crazy because like obviously at times, the past 2 years, you like would have to play the run against the Eagles, especially if they were up big, and then that would open up the passing game to where like you got your one-on-ones with Devontae and AJ Brown. But like it was like now it's like almost every play, no matter what the score board says, is like, do you want to stop Saquon, or do you want to stop the two? Like you got to pick your poison, and you got to be very like intentional about what you want to do on defense. And the Eagles can make you pay either way. So like they've built it the right way, like you said, through the trenches. That has to be the blueprint going forward for every other team. You
can't just start skill positioning it.
Specifically, Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs, they have to go back to the drawing board for their offensive line. They'll move Tooney back into guard, obviously, where he's supposed to be. Trey Smith, their right guard, is a free agent, unfortunately for them, and he's a really good player. So hopefully they can re-sign him and then get their tackle situation right. Josh Allen, their O-line was actually pretty good going down the stretch.
Yeah.
It was mostly with them. I think they're a little bit of a lack of like they didn't stick with the run. A little bit of a lack of like actual playmakers, and like obviously Stephon Diggs leaving was a big deal, but we kind of thought like maybe that was a good thing in the long run because of like the attitude and the way they were able to spray the ball around all their playmakers. But they still kind of need more of an alpha guy. So.
They do. Well, because like you look at the Bengals and like just talent, and you're like, wow, like the Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, their O line's trash, and so's their D line, and their defense is just terrible. Yeah. And so you just can't really win.
Yeah, their defense in general is so bad this year, and I'm really curious to see what they do with T. Higgins. Like, I really think they should re-sign him. I think what the Eagles just put on display was exactly what they probably needed their GM to see. Was just like, you pay your good players.
Yeah.
No matter who they are, and then go all in on, obviously, the trenches, like we were just saying. Like, I think...
Well, you're not really going to find another T. Higgins.
No,
he's a baller.
And Joe Burrow keeps saying in the public, like, I really want T back. I really want T back. And, like, to the point where, like, I saw he went on, like, Pardon My Take and was like, it's funny, like, it's gotten to the point where he has gotten, like, really into the salary cap and how things work. Like, he's become, like, his own GM at this point because he's like, clearly it's possible because look at the Eagles. He literally said that during the interview. And he was like, they're literally paying everybody.
Yeah.
He was like, there is a way to do this. It's just a very strategic way, and you just got to set it up certain ways and like based on like signing bonuses and pushing the contract to the later years and stuff of that nature. And there's a way to do it.
Yeah.
Howie Roseman's obviously figured out how to do that, as well as he's hit on a bunch of draft picks as well as free agency in the past 3 to 4 years in general. And it's just all worked out. I mean, like, obviously we had injury luck, like I was saying earlier, that like a Super Bowl run doesn't always happen.
Things,
you have the most talent,
have to go right.
But things have to go the exact right way. Like the Lions losing to the Commanders, giving us home field advantage for the NFC Championship. Like, stuff like that. Like, the dominoes have to fall the right way all the time. Not to say that we weren't the best team, obviously, because we were the best team.
But you also have to take advantage.
But you got to take advantage. You got to like capitalize on every single opportunity, because you just never know where you're going to be able to make it back. Because literally next year we could say, oh, the Eagles are going to repeat, and then like Saquon gets hurt week 5. The offense takes like
they're like
a little bit of a step back.
7.
It's just, anything can happen. True. So
I saw a graphic today. It was like defense of like just a stat, and it was like a cluster of all these teams. It was like Eagles, and it was like Panthers. And I was like, wow. So that's the difference.
That's the difference there. Is just
got it.
Basically the entire pack. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's funny.
I like Vic Fangio. Like it was crazy what Vic Fangio was able to do in 1 year. I mean, we were literally like I think we were literally ranked 31st in defense last year, which is obviously there's only 32 teams, so it was literally the worst defense, basically, more or less. And he was able to turn it around in 1 year with essentially the same cast outside of Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell, obviously. And those two guys like really were able to lock up 2 big-time positions on defense, and then Vic Fangio was able to just kind of hone everything in. And like he really didn't implement that many like defensive like calls. Like he ran a ton of cover 4 and like quarters, cover 3 this year. He did not switch up his coverages a whole lot, because he realized like I just got this crazy amount of talent, and as long as we're super sound, we don't like lit up these explosives, it's going to be hard sledding for anybody.
Well, especially on defense, like it takes 11, and if you trust all of your 11 and everyone does exactly what they're supposed to do, then everyone just helps each other.
For sure.
Versus like if you have one crappy corner like the Lions, the guys just get
exposed
picked on all game.
For sure. Absolutely, yeah. You can kind of target people,
but
like when everybody's moving like in like synchronicity like that, like
it's like
it's really
like,
tough.
There's nowhere to go with this ball. So that I was impressed with the Eagles, but I also was really not impressed with the Chiefs. Chelsea I don't think he caught a pass.
He caught like a couple at the very end, basically, in garbage time for the most part.
Xavier Worthy, fantasy-wise, had a
if you're playing daily, like you did really well that day. But that was essentially in garbage time as well. I mean, that one throw from Pat was crazy, though. I will say that one was.
And then
backups were in, but that was crazy.
But part of me was like, why didn't they just let it fly? Like, if you're losing, you might as well just let it rip and see what happens.
Yeah, it was a little too late at that point for sure. But yeah, I feel like that pretty much touches on everything from the Super Bowl. Obviously, it's been a week and a day now, and it's awesome. I will say it's very cool.
Super Bowl 60.
Yeah, and I forgot to pat myself on the back. I did that in a video I did on Monday, but I did call it. Remember, January 1st, I went back and looked at our podcast. You asked me specifically, who is your Super Bowl matchup and winner? And I said Chiefs-Eagles, and really? I said Eagles win. And
did you say big?
I did not say win big. No, I was never confident enough to say win big.
Yeah, fair.
I felt good about it. I don't know. There was something that just like it kept telling me, man, I feel good. I feel good. I don't know why. It was just like it felt like this Eagles team was the team of destiny. It was just so many cool storylines all just like coming together at one time, and I don't know. It was just really fun.
Did you repost it? Like, by the way, I just called.
So I'm in the process of trying to make I'm trying to figure out a creative way to like do like a TikTok, but it's gonna be a part of like this like
Are you
cool
back
video.
on TikTok?
Yes, finally. Yeah, I got unbanned. I guess I don't really know how that happened, but I guess that was weird. That it just like popped up on your thing and you're like, hey,
I was like, dude,
this now?
Here it is.
Yeah,
that was funny.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm back, so like I got to post some stuff, of course, but.
Yeah, let the people know.
Yeah, let them know that I'm back. Yeah, I was just getting random followers the other day, and I was like, what in the world? But, yeah, so that pretty much wraps it up for 59. Felt good about it. Eagles win. I've bought way too much merchandise since the game. Like I've caved to a lot of marketing from everybody on Instagram and wherever I see anything on the internet. Yeah. So they have really got me. But let's move on to some head coaching news. Obviously, this has to do with the Eagles. Kellen Moore, former offensive coordinator, goes to become the head coach of the Saints now. I thought he did his best work in the playoffs. I think his play calling in the NFC Championship game as well as the Super Bowl was for sure his best things he's put on display. And so I got to say it's an uphill climb for anybody that's stepping into the situation with the New Orleans Saints right now because of how bad their salary cap situation is. They have kicked the can down the road with so many veterans that like they're having to restructure those veteran contracts again and kick it even further down there. They are in a mess salary cap wise. Like, do I think Kellen Moore can help the team get better this season? Probably, but I don't think it's like a lot. Yeah. I don't see them making the playoffs, to be completely honest with you. I just think their defense needs work. Their offense clearly it looked good at the beginning of the season last year.
2-0. Yeah, craziest run ever.
Yeah, they were hot.
Yeah,
for those two first weeks or whatever. But it'll be very interesting to see what he kind of brings to the Saints. I don't know like how much I like put stock into like his like leadership and stuff. He just doesn't feel like that like leader of men kind of guy. So like it's a little tough for me to kind of gauge in that respect. Now, like from an Eagles perspective, obviously, we lose an offense coordinator again, which sucks. Yeah. But now, at least since we won, like this, it feels like a good spot for like any offensive coordinator to be like, I'd like to go there. Like they have an all-star team. Like I would love to like put my like my skills like on display, just like Kellen Moore just did, and get my chance at a head coaching job. And like maybe it doesn't happen in year one like it did with Kellen, but like everybody's gonna be like, this is my jumping pad for like getting a head coaching job potentially. So I think people are like good candidates are actually going to like rise to the top in this situation and be like, I'll take the Eagles job.
And also what helped Kellen Moore was their defense was so good. So even when the offense was having some tough times, it was like, all right, guys, like I would say the defense is by far the strength. So it's like, all right, guys, like we don't have to be perfect, but don't like throw.
Yeah,
like,
don't
start
lose the game.
Picks. Yeah,
correct. Yeah, for sure. They had the luxury of staying balanced almost the entire season because we never really got into a big deficit ever outside of like the Tampa Bay game.
Kenny Pickett.
Well, I mean, he was pretty competitive in that Washington game, but like that Tampa Bay game, obviously, which now looking back on it, like I should have never thought we had a chance in that game. Like I was like, oh, maybe Jalen will like pull a rabbit out of his hat or whatever, make something happen. Yeah. He was without A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Lane Johnson. Like those are like three of the best players on the offense by far. And it was just like I should have known. Like it was just never going to be good on offense that day. But It is what it is. All right, let's move on to the Rodgers and Jets parting ways. I was just telling you before this, like I haven't really given this like much thought whatsoever because I've just been wrapped up in the Eagles winning the Super Bowl and the fun and all of that, and just thinking about the difference between the Eagles and where they're at and where the Jets are currently is just like they're not even on the same planet. They're in just like two different worlds right now. But what I will say is, I don't know if any team is going to be set up to take on an Aaron Rodgers right now. Like, I just don't know if he has a real job.
No. Like who does want him?
Like, who's the... There's, like, an inkling in the back of my head that's, like, wants to say, like, the Steelers. Like, maybe they give him a 1-year trial. Maybe. But they do seem, like, pretty dead set on just giving Justin Fields the reins right now and seeing if that works. Because they're definitely not bringing back Russ. No. They've already kind of put that out there that he's not coming back at all either. Maybe he goes to the Raiders on a 1-year kind of bridge year thing where like Tom Brady's part of the ownership group. It's Pete Carroll. He probably doesn't want to start from dead scratch when it comes to like QBs. Getting back into coaching again. I don't know. Like Tennessee obviously needs a quarterback in there, but they're at the top of the draft. They might take a Shador or a Cam Ward, but I don't know.
Rodgers is such a headache too.
I know that's the thing. He brings so much baggage now too, so it's like it's tough to say where somebody would accept him and he would really accept them. Like I don't know. It's a tough situation.
Well, like I saw the thing of when he was on the Zoom and Devontae Adams popped in the back, and everybody thought like, oh my god, the Jets are like so back, like this is going to be the turn, and it's just never happened.
What's funny is like it did kind of like their chemistry kind of came back the last like 3 weeks of the season, but it was way too late obviously at that point. So and I think at that point they had already made so many bad decisions organizationally that like it was just piling on to itself. It was just Saleh was probably fired way too soon in the season.
For sure.
Like, they started off pretty bad, but like it is Rodgers coming off an Achilles. Like maybe you give like the situation in general a little bit time to breathe at that point. But it is going to be interesting to see if like a guy like a Kirk Cousins or an Aaron Rodgers, if they do get their opportunities next year, how much better they can potentially look. Just being just another off season of kind of rehabbing and getting stronger with that Achilles injury and stuff like that. So, I'll be kind of curious to see where Kirk ends up going.
I was going to say, also the Falcons are an interesting team as well. Because if Penix, their offense is like decent.
Oh, yeah.
And if Penix can actually play well, like the NFC South is trash except for Baker.
Yeah.
Like it's not
and they lost their OC again. Yeah. So, he's going to be down there in Jacksonville, Liam Cohen. So, they're going to have to figure out another situation for their offensive coordinator, obviously, and see if they mesh the exact same way that Baker did with him, and so
a lot to figure out.
A lot of changes for sure. But let's go ahead and wrap this bad boy up. Obviously, it's the off season. I will not be doing as much content going forward. But I am going to be touching on a lot of obviously once free agency rolls around and the draft rolls around, there's going to be plenty of content to go around. A lot of TikToks and stuff of that nature for sure. I'm probably going to do. Oh gosh. See, that's the thing. I don't even know if I'm allowed to again. Because I don't know. They never responded to my email that's saying hey, I'll delete the stuff that you said that I messed up the policy on.
Or do
and they never responded to it, and then they just gave it back, and I was like, I don't even know what to do with this.
Do if I were to gamble, which I wouldn't. Here's who I would choose if I was gonna.
I like this game. I'm going to watch, and I will be rooting for this team by this point. So see you later. That's 2 videos.
I am hoping the Eagles win by 7.5. That way you're like, I didn't gamble anything.
Didn't say anything about gambling.
I was rooting for.
I was just rooting for a blowout today.
To win. Yeah,
that was great. Yeah, that's going to be interesting. But for the most part, content's still going to be rolling through. Still going to figure out if we're going to do this long form thing moving forward throughout the off season. We'll figure that out going forward. But for the most part, I appreciate everybody sticking with us all season long. Sorry this was such a delayed podcast. Obviously, I was sick, man. I had a fever off and on for 5 straight days. It was rough. I had never actually experienced that before, and it was I literally looked at my wife at one point and was like, I just want to be healthy again. I was so broken down and just golly, I just want to be able to feel
you're
good
laying
again.
in bed. You're like, oh.
Oh, dude, my head was pounding. It was crazy. I don't know what I had.
It's like
but
maybe
it was
this
nuts.
is death. Like
maybe this is just it. I just got this
watch
crazy
the Eagles
disease
win
all of a sudden.
and then just
yeah. Hey, look, God was like, hey, look, we'll let you see
one
more Super Bowl, and you're out of here, buddy.
Yourself. Yeah.
But yeah, pretty much that wraps it up, and I appreciate everybody watching and tuning in all season long. We will talk to you soon.
See ya.
See ya.